3, 2, 1. LPAC Processes. Initial LPAC and Instructional Conversation. Let's start with the GISD LPAC 2021 directory. At the top of the directory, you will find our COVID-19 LPAC process. As you click on there, you will get the details that you are receiving in this training. As we update new forms for the initial LPAC process, they will be located in this area of initial LPACs. As new professional development courses are created and videos, they will be in this professional development area. For green folders, you will find the click sheets and forms that you need to monitor to ensure you have all the information for all of our English learners to complete our green folders. For our enrollment forms that Student Services sends you, or for parent approval or denial forms, you may click on the enrollment form here to find all the forms in English, Vietnamese, and Spanish. At the bottom of our GISD LPAC directory, you will find different accommodations that you can use to ensure that all of your English learners are given the proper instructional supports to meet their needs throughout the school year. Let's get started with the LPAC process for our initial LPAC. The process for new students to GISD starts with identifying them first as a new to Texas student or a not new to Texas student. If the student is new to Texas, the campus must schedule an initial LPAC. If the student is not new to Texas, the campus must hold a new enrollee instructional conversation. Let's talk a little bit about pre-COVID EL identification process. Prior to COVID-19, students and parents submitted a home language survey to Student Services where they were tested in English, or if their home language survey had Spanish, they were also tested in Spanish. The English test is what gave the student the qualification to become an English learner. Once the student was shown to qualify, the student was recommended for a program to ensure that the correct placement and room in a classroom was found in an appropriate school due to choice of school. A coding was given at Student Services and sent to the campus. Then the LPAC met, reviewed the home language survey, testing results, and the recommendation given by Student Services to make sure there was alignment of what the student needed. The LPAC gave the final recommendation for program placement and recommended it to parents through a parent letter. The parent letter was then signed and returned to the campus to be placed in the green folders. Due to COVID-19, the LPAC process has been modified by the state of Texas. For GISD, Student Services process has changed to online Skyward enrollment, where parents submit a home language survey electronically in Skyward. The test for English and Spanish language was not given from March 16, 2020 through the summer of the 2020 school year. So at this time, the state has allowed us to place students and recommend them for a program such as ESL or bilingual based on their home language survey. Then Student Services placed those students per choice of school, coded them as an EL, as an English learner, and sent them to the campuses. The campus then enrolls the student, and the LPAC meets virtually with an LPAC administrator, ESL or bilingual teacher, and the LPAC parent has been optional, but highly recommended. And there is a note that is added into the initial LPAC to document that the LPAC is being completed virtually and with or without a parent. We then inform the parent of the program placement and receive approval from the parent in one of the following ways, either in writing by a mailing a parent approval letter from Elevation, or through an email response or documentation that a conversation was made by phone. The name of the parent and the date is added into Elevation notes for that student. Then we document the way that the approval was given from the parent in a note in Elevation. Initial testing has opened in student services as of July 27th. Due to CDC restrictions, GISD will offer and provide services in case a student later qualifies. Once student services is ready to complete the testing process for all students that have enrolled from March 16th, 2020 until the present time, student services will notify the parent, assess the student, and inform the campus of the new testing that has been given to the student. In the meantime, please add the following note into your initial LPACs if the student has not yet completed their initial testing. For all elementaries who will have pre-kindergarten students, you will not need to complete pre-kindergarten LPACs. All pre-kindergarten LPACs are currently being completed for all campuses. Those pre-K students have been tested and LPAC'd by Student Services, the ELL department, an LPAC administrator, and an ESL bilingual teacher, and will be completed by August 10th, 2020. To complete the initial LPAC, you will log into Elevation, and on your dashboard, you will find down below where it says Initial LPACs Needed. Here you will find a list of those new enrollees who are new to Texas who will need an initial LPAC. Upon clicking on the initial LPAC list, or by clicking at Students at the very top, LPAC Center, you will find the initial LPAC area to complete your initial LPACs for this school year. Now let's talk about Instructional Conversations. The process for students who are new to Garland ISD coming from a district in Texas. For these students, they are also submitting an online Skyward enrollment. Student Services process the home language survey that is collected through Skyward, parent information on previous program and school district, the recommendation of a placement of school choice, and an ESL or bilingual program as given by the parent from the previous school district information. Student Services codes those students on that information that is given, and then the information is sent to the campus data clerk, the LPAC administrator, and an LPAC teacher to be able to be placed on a campus in an appropriate program. Then the campus LPAC process is the LPAC teacher and an LPAC administrator will complete an instructional conversation, an IC, and ensure that data clerk's TREX proves previous program placement. You will need to contact your counselor to assist with student scheduling and make a note to complete the green folders once we return back onto campus. Please make sure that the information from the previous school district is received within the first 4 weeks of enrollment. If no data is returned from the previous Texas school district within the first 3 weeks, please notify the ELL Compliance Department to see if the school uses Elevation and information can be gathered through the Elevation portal. A list of other districts that use Elevation is in our LPAC Directory. Please make a note in the Students' Instructional Conversation Notes section that COVID-19's closure Instructional Conversations meeting was held either via Zoom or other virtual meeting, and the members that attended that meeting. In Elevation, you will also find an instructional conversation in the LPAC Center. This is new for the 2021 school year. We have added this section here so that we may guide you in the questions that you will need to ask the previous school district to ensure that we know what program the student needs and that we have gathered their original home language survey, a previous student history worksheet, and previous LPAC documentation. Once the instructional conversation is complete, you will no longer see the students in your dashboard under Instructional Conversations. The process for updating years in U.S. schools. In 1920, GISD students, we gathered Skyward Utility Update in November from the LPAC teacher to validate the years in U.S. schools for the students. We came across an issue at the end of the school year when we did not have availability of the green folders. So to improve this, for 2021 school year, we are asking in the initial LPAC and in the instructional conversation meeting that you document the years in U.S. schools. This will assist us to keep track of the students' years in U.S. schools from when they first enroll in Garland ISD. From this point on, from 2020-2021 school year, Skyward will read information from Elevation and make sure to update it every school year from then on, so that when you are asked for years in U.S. school for your students, that information is readily available to everybody. Once LPACs are finalized, what is the next step? Parent letters. Our Texas Education Agency requires that all parents are notified of the program placement for their child from the recommendation that is initially given by the LPAC to any program change that happens after that. Parent letters. Which students need parent letters sent home? Well, guess what? All students. Newly identified students, Monitor 1 and Monitor 2 students, ELs, and parent denials. Parent letters for identification. These letters need to be sent home for newly identified students. We'll need parent permission to receive services. Once parents sign off on the parent permission for a new service, they will be returned to the campus, and those forms will be documented and saved in the student's green folder. Parent letters of student progress. These letters are sent home to notify parents of student progress for continuing students and parent denials. Parent letters of reclassification or approval for exit. These letters are sent home to notify parents of student meeting state reclassification criteria and for parent approval to exit as English learners and no longer receive ESL or bilingual services. Parent letters for the end of the year of 1920. Due to COVID-19, we were not able to send home parent letters after our end of the year LPAC process. These letters are sent home for all students who are continuing services. We were also not able to complete the reclassification process for our students, and will be giving lost links testing at the start of this school year to reclassify our students. Once that process is complete, we will be sending student progress letters as well as reclassification letters to parents. Once a student has met reclassification criteria, what will be done? First, the addendum LPAC will need to be finalized to document reclassification criteria has been met. 2. The reclassification approval or exit letter. This letter will need to be created in elevation. Parents must be notified of meeting state criteria and given the opportunity to approve or deny the exit process. 3. Parent letter for reclassification exit approval signed and returned. The letter will need to be signed by a parent and returned before any PIMS coding can be updated. Please check our LPAC Directory for 2020-2021 for click sheets on how to print your parent letters. Green folders update. Process for updating green folders. The LEP green folders, the LPAC records and student history sheet will need to be updated for returning students in Garland ISD. The student history worksheet is completed annually to track a student's LEP status, program participation, years in U.S. schools, and to summarize students' testing history. This form needs to be completed before the initial LPAC and the instructional conversation, as you will need to know how many years in U.S. school the student has had. The digital form is found in the LPAC Directory 2020-2021. How to complete the student history worksheet. For many of our new students, they are coming to us from another state or out of the country. Therefore, they will not have testing information to be input into the student history worksheet. The main purpose will be to collect how many years they have been out of the country or out of the state of Texas and document that in the first 3 columns of the years, the grade, and the location of where that student was. And then we start the next row. In column 1, will put the 2021 school year, the grade level the students are enrolling in, the campus, and GISD, the assessment that was given to the student, either pre-loss assessment or a loss links assessment in either English or Spanish, then the LPAC recommendation, whether a bilingual program or an ESL program, and finally, the date of the parent's signature. What date was the letter signed and sent back to the campus to approve the student be placed in a language program? Once the student history worksheet is updated, it will be filed in the green folder and updated annually. For our green folders, some of the most important information that you will need to collect. At the beginning of the year, the LPAC administrator and LPAC teacher, along with the parents, will meet to create the initial LPAC. Addendum LPAC and initial LPACs and Instructional Conversations. The LPAC administrator, LPAC teacher, the bilingual ESL teacher, and parent rep or ARD rep will meet to find the best placement for these students. Parent letters will be sent home to ensure that parents are notified of the program their student is being provided. And then finally, we'll file the parent permission in a green LEP folder. So where are we now? The process will continue throughout the school year, starting with the beginning of the year trainings,